Introduction. On January 10th, a masked attacker broke into 81-year-old Irene Baker's home, threatening her with a knife, and proceeding to rape the victim. The perpetrator attempted to clean up any evidence by removing the bottom sheet, making the victim wash away evidence of his assault, and finally threatening the old woman's life if she told anyone of the attack. The elderly victim lived alone and believed his threat. A week later, law enforcement was informed of the attack by a concerned neighbor. The evidence collected included a sperm sample found on the mattress pad of the victim. This sample matched an oral swab taken from Nathan Herman, a 39-year-old male with 2 prior convictions for violent offenses.
My name is Nathan Herman, and on January 10th, I raped this old lady because she lives alone. I had the urge to do it, and she's old. Who would believe this old lady? I mean, who believes any old people? It is highly unlikely that an arrest will occur based on the evidence and my characteristics. Yes, I did it. However, I made the old lady take a shower to wash away the DNA. This method is what is used in Law & Order SVU, and they get away with it. Why wouldn't I? I also told her to keep her mouth shut, and I threatened to come back if she said anything. My previous prison sentences did not involve rape, so there should not be anything that would raise a red flag in that area or cause concern. If an arrest occurred, worst case scenario, I would not admit to it. I am not a fool, and only fools admit to committing the crime. If I was arrested and went to court, I believe the prosecutor would drop the case. At most, the prosecutor may offer me a deal to plead guilty to something. Agreeing to plead guilty is still a win for those pencil neck attorneys, and I will not give them the satisfaction. There will be no plea deal. I will maintain my innocence. There is no way they can get me.
As a police officer, I have to make discretionary decisions about whether or not to fill out a crime report, whether or not to investigate the crime, and also about the level of intensity the investigation receives. In this case, the suspect will be arrested on the charges of first-degree forcible rape of 81-year-old Irene Baker. Although unable to obtain a confession from the suspect, the semen found on the mattress pad matches an oral sample taken from Nathan Herman and places the suspect at the scene of the crime. This evidence allowed me to obtain a search warrant for the knife used to threaten the victim the night of the attack, described as a long, slender knife with a crescent end like a scalpel. A knife matching the description was found at the suspect's permanent residence. Nathan Herman also has a history of 2 prior violent offenses that contribute to my discretionary decision to arrest him for this crime. As a police officer, I do not have the power to determine sentencing for criminals. It is my duty to obtain the best evidence I can in order for justice to be served. In a state that did not allow victim testimony as evidence or had stricter circumstantial evidence laws, I may not have been able to arrest the suspect for first-degree forcible rape. Instead, I may have had to use my discretionary powers to arrest him for a lesser charge or let him go altogether.
Individuals that commit these types of acts should be put away for life since they're a danger to our society. Mr. Herman committed this crime in the state of North Carolina, and according to our general statutes, he would be guilty of first-degree forcible rape, which states that a person is guilty of first-degree forcible rape if the person engages in vaginal intercourse with another person by force and against the will of another person, does any of the following: uses, threatens to use, or displays a dangerous or deadly weapon of an article which the other person reasonably believes to be a dangerous or deadly weapon, which Miss Baker did state was a knife. We could also file to convict Mr. Herman as a violent habitual felon, since he does have prior convictions, as well as obstructing justice, since he did destroy evidence by having Miss Baker shower after the crime was committed. But I do believe that these lesser charges are much less solid than the forcible rape charge, so the state has elected to take this case to trial, seeing as the defendant will not admit guilt. As a prosecutor, it is my duty to assist law enforcement in protecting our law-abiding citizens from violent criminals such as Mr. Herman, and I do believe that we will be successful in convicting him.
Nathan Herman has now been brought to court, tried in front of a jury, and found guilty. As the judge, I choose to sentence Mr. Herman to prison due to the nature of his crime, his past criminal history, but also because I wanted to ensure the safety of the victim and the surrounding community. For North Carolina, the minimum sentence for a first-degree forcible rape charge is 144 months, while the maximum sentence is life imprisonment without parole. However, I chose to sentence Mr. Herman to 25 years in prison with the option of parole after 20 years. I came to this sentence due to the especially violent actions Mr. Herman committed during the commission of the crime. I also took into account his past criminal history because he has already been convicted of previous crimes. Mr. Herman does have the option of parole after he has completed at least 20 years in prison, and after this he will be under the supervision of a parole officer who will describe the terms the offender must follow during his parole.
Mr. Herman is now eligible for parole, and he will adhere to the standard supervised parole restrictions created for sex offenders. There will be 5 conditions Mr. Herman must follow in order to maintain his parole status. First, the parolee must register as a sex offender for life and must carry out the required schedule of personal appearance in all jurisdictions where he resides according to the level of his offense. Second, the parolee must attend a sex offender accountability and responsibility rehabilitation program. And third, the parolee must adhere to a 300 feet stay-away order. Fourth, the parolee shall have no contact with the victim, including correspondence, telephone contact, any form of electronic communication, or communication through a third party except under circumstances approved in advance and in writing by the court. Fifth, the parolee shall not possess or subscribe to any sexually oriented or sexually stimulating material, to include mail, computer, or television, nor patronize any place where such material or entertainment is available. These conditions are in order of importance. Within 2 months of Mr. Herman's parole, he violated the 4th condition by leaving a note in the victim's mailbox threatening her safety. I will revoke Mr. Herman's parole due to the consistency of violence being shown and disregard for the conditions given.